Hey everyone, I'm John Lynn, the founder and chief editor at Healthcare IT Today. We're excited to bring you another in our series of interviews with top leaders in healthcare IT. And we're here at the SOAR 2024 conference. And our guest is Dawn Whitney. She's CEO of ElevateX. Welcome, Dawn.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here.
Yeah, great to be here. I mean, this has been a really interesting leadership event for women in healthcare.
Yep.
What are some of the takeaways you've heard at the conference?
Wow. So far, my takeaway is that it's been amazingly empowering. So we heard from men who are allies, which is great. And we've heard from so many women telling their stories. I think there's just a sense and a kind of excitement that's going on in the whole entire place around lifting as we climb, helping other women lift as we climb. And it just resonates with so many of us as leaders. So it's been really inspiring.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I think there's a vulnerability here that's a little different. And there's also like the message I heard was like, you have different qualities and attributes that can be strengths for you as a leader. And I love that, you know, because women and men do have different strengths.
Absolutely.
And I thought that was a really great message as well.
Yeah, it's been great.
Yeah, in your work, you know, you work with a lot of healthcare leaders, women and men, but are there some, you know, challenges that women face that maybe are unique to them?
Yeah, I think, you know, this just kind of crosses across all lines, not just healthcare technology, but I've been in the search business for 30 years and I've seen pretty much the same pattern over and over again. The biggest thing is that women really struggle a little bit more than men do around the imposter syndrome. So there's this sense of like, I'm not sure I'm qualified for that role. Whereas a man would look at the job qualifications and say, oh, well, I don't have everything, but I'm going to apply, right? But a woman is like, oh, I'm not sure about this. I'm not sure about that. Maybe I need to work a little harder here. And then when they actually do get the opportunity, they might be thinking, oh, I don't know if I'm going to be good enough for this. I don't know if I'm ready for this. Even today, I had someone come up to me and was talking to me about my coaching business and asking me, like, how do I know I'm ready for that next step? And I'm not sure I have everything I need. And I'm like, ask
No
your
one
gut.
does.
Yeah, I said, ask your gut. I said, you know better than anyone if you're ready for this next step.
I like
and
that.
if you have the passion and excitement to do what you really want to go do, you'll figure it out, right?
That's really interesting because I've had the same experience at Healthcare IT Today.
Right.
When I ask a woman to speak at an event or to be on a podcast, the men say instant yes. The women are like, maybe. And then I start digging into it more. They're like, well, do I have something to share? Or, and I'm like, no, I asked you, so I already know you have something to share.
Exactly.
So it is interesting that challenge. What suggestions would you have for them? It's interesting you have the coaching business as well to help them overcome some of these challenges.
Yeah, I think it's such a good question. I mean, all of this comes down to fear. It comes down to a fear-based mindset. And it's one of the things I'm talking about tomorrow in the keynote. And it's how do you transform fear into fuel for growth? And you can do that at any level, at any level you are within an organization. You don't have to be a leader or an executive to do it. But I think that's the piece that holds us back, is we think a lot about, well, what if I don't do this right? Or what if I fail? What about the unknown? What ifs, right? And so we kind of talk ourselves out of it. And I think that is one of the most difficult parts in working with people, is to, number one, get them to see that they are actually in a fear-based or fixed mindset versus a growth mindset, which is, hey, I'm going to go for this thing. Maybe I don't have all the pieces laid out, but I'm going to make this happen, right? I'm just going to go for it.
Yeah.
So I think that's really, you know, for me, that's been the best part, is working with people who have these great ideas, but they're just afraid to take the step. And it's funny if you're the one person that says, hey, you can do it. Like, you can do this. Like you probably say when people are like afraid to get on camera, and you're like, no, you can do it. You know, and sometimes that's all it takes, is one person to say, you got this, you got it figured out.
Yeah, and I think it's also important to highlight it's okay to fail, right?
Yeah.
I imagine that's a challenge you face too. It's like, well, they're like, well, should I do it? It's like, well, if you don't try, you've already failed, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a common kind of trite phrase that happens.
It's true.
But it's hard to live. It's easy to say.
Yes, it's true. And all of the best learnings and lessons in our life are the failures. You know, I had two companies, one that I sold and one that I couldn't wait to get rid of. And that one was the one that I had the most failures with, where I learned the most. And it was also, I was very focused on not failing that whole time.
Wow.
But I ended up failing. And then looking back, I was like, thank you, universe, for giving me the opportunity to fail and figure out what I don't want and go after what I do want now. So failure is key to really kind of overcoming that fear-based mindset. You need it. They go hand in hand. Yeah.
Interesting. I heard a football coach, a college football coach, say recently that he's like, I've learned my most from my losses.
Yeah.
He said, I don't think I learned anything from my wins. And he was talking personally. And, you know, that he's like, I grew as a person in the losses, whereas the wins I didn't. Which that's a hard mindset. But
it's hard.
How about when it comes to allies and male allies? What suggestions would you have for them? You know, you talked about some of them are here, you know, even on stage talking about it. What would you suggest to people like myself to, you know, be an ally to women in healthcare? Yeah,
such a great question. So early in my career, I had a male boss that was and is still to this day a mentor of mine. So I would say that, you know, utilizing men to be mentors and maybe a part of your board of advisors. You know, everyone should have a board of directors, board of advisors, I call it, whether you're a man or a woman. But if you're a woman, asking, you know, it's easy to just say, oh, I want to invite all these women that I know and maybe think the same as I do, but invite some men that maybe you don't know, or maybe a man that's been a mentor in the past that can give you a different perspective. So they'll be on your board so that when you're in a situation and you can call that person, like I do with mine, and say, hey, I need your help here. What do you think I should do? They can be an ally and a sponsor for you. Plus, if you are working amongst men who you are like, I really want this person to be an advocate for me or a sponsor for me, make sure that you tell them that. You say, hey, you know, here's what I want to go do. I'd like your support in doing that.
Okay.
And what they'll do is they will actually advocate for you and sponsor you when you're not in the room. And that's what a good ally does, right? It's easy if you're just standing with someone and they're saying good things about you. But if you're not in the room and that male is saying, hey, I think we should think about Susie and give her this opportunity. Here's why. That is when the door's open.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah. Someone made a comment. There's a difference between mentor, a cheerleader, and a sponsor. And we need more sponsors like you just described.
So true.
That's really interesting.
And Mike talked about that today in his opener. And he is a sponsor and he has advocated for so many women in the healthcare space. And so that's why when he walks into the room, he's like a celebrity because everyone knows that he really truly cares to see other women elevate.
Yeah, that's a really good message. Well, you know, you and Bluebird Leaders are partnering up to put on a great event in Aruba.
So excited.
I mean, who doesn't want to go to Aruba? Let's be frank. But,
for sure.
Tell us about that. What's going into it? What's the plan?
Okay, so I'm very honored that Rebecca asked me to co-sponsor this with her and co-host it. So we are putting together 2.5 days in the sun. She has like amazing accommodations, an amazing personal chef that's going to be taking care of everything, a sunset cruise. I mean, all kinds of good things that are going to be happening. But the content of the workshop is going to be all around kind of elevating the executive leader. It's really an executive retreat.
Okay.
And it's not just for women, but it's focused primarily on a lot of women issues. So we're going to be talking about imposter syndrome. We're going to talk about fixed and growth mindset. There's a lot around, you know, the silent body language, like what your body language kind of says about you and puts out about you, and what you're getting back. So we're going to do a session on that. We have just so many topics all around that kind of stuff. So it's going to be, I'm not going to say it's going to be like a touchy-feely one of those things. Like we will do yoga, so there'll be that. But it's just a chance for women to get together and really feel like they can be themselves and talk about whatever issues they have with actual solutions that we're going to provide and give them tools. You know, right? Like, so we talk about the fear-based mindset. Well, how do you overcome that?
Right.
Everybody talks about it, but what are the tools? So we're going to be talking about that and sharing those tools, and it's going to be a fun time.
That's awesome. Well, everyone can go search online, Bluebird Leaders Aruba. It should be easy to find. And
in February.
Check it out. February. Right. Awesome. I mean, get out of the snow, head to Aruba, be inspired and become a better leader. I love that.
I love it too.
Dawn, I appreciate you taking time to talk with us and
you.
share about your experience here at SOAR.
Yeah.
And thanks everyone for watching and listening. If you want to find more great healthcare IT content like this, be sure to check it out at healthcareittoday.com or search for Healthcare IT Today on your favorite podcasting application. Thanks, Dawn.
Thank you.